What is going on, guys? It's Kieran. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be doing a tier list for Valorant, trying to see which agents I think are on top, which agents are S tier, which agents are mid tier, and which agents are bad. Before we begin, we're going to have some ground rules that we're going to lay out just to make sure that everything is organized. First of all, obviously we can only compare certain agents against other agents, right? So for example, all the controllers can be compared to other controllers. All the duelists versus other duelists. It would make no sense for me to compare Raze against Astra, for example, right? Because they do different things. So that being said, I think that we're just gonna kind of work our way there, see what we can do, talk about maps, talk about viability compared to other agents and whatnot. Also, if you don't agree with anything I say, this is all my opinion. But if there's something you want me to think about, or something you may want to add, maybe I didn't think about a certain aspect of an agent, or maybe there's something that I didn't think about that can actually change the outcome of where I place these agents, make sure to leave that in the comments below. Also, if you guys want more videos like this, I really do enjoy making these type of videos, so I think it would be really fun to be able to do more of this stuff. So if you guys want to see that, make sure to let me know in the comments. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, so I took the liberty of arranging everything, that way we can go from category to category and start there. So first we're going to start with the controllers. Astra. Now I think Astra is very much still S tier, and the reason I say that is because even though she did get a nerf, she lost a star, she's still able to use her smokes no matter where she is. Not only that, her smokes can actually be beneficial for other things, right? It's not just blocking off a doorway. Compared to other controllers, for example, most other controllers can block off an entrance with a smoke or block off a choke point, but then it's hard for them to do anything else. Astra can decide whether she wants to, suck the area, stun people. And not only that, I think one of the biggest parts of Astra that I like a lot is that she can get her smokes back. So if you decide to put something down and they don't push your side, you can just retake those smokes back. So they do take a while to come back, but I think that it's very beneficial if you do have to retake something. Say you're playing B, for example, and the enemy team rushes A, you can take all the smokes you have back on B, and you'll wait a little while, sure, but by the time you get there, you should be able to have them, and you can use those to retake. And like I said before, you don't have to smoke, you can stun, you can suck people in and all that good stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. Not only that, but the outplay potential she has with taking her orbs back is also huge. I've seen people make crazy ass plays by putting down the smoke and then taking it back and being in that smoke. Or sometimes the enemies will push the smoke thinking that, the smoke was popped, but they were actually just taking it back. So it's pretty cool. Very creative character. Next, Viper. I have to put Viper on A tier due to the fact that she can be used on every map. Now, technically, yeah, I know what you're saying. You can probably use it on every map if you really wanted to, but there are certain maps where she's just god tier. You have to have her, and there are other maps where she kind of struggles. Haven, for example, is not really her map. You can kind of make it work, but it's just better to take Brim or an Omen. Bind also, she kind of struggles. Like I said, I'm not saying that she's bad, but there are just other controllers that do her job a lot better for some of these maps. But then you do have some maps where she is absolutely needed. Icebox, for example, great map for her. Breeze is a great map for her, and she can cover what other controllers have struggle covering, is what I meant. So for example, on Breathe, it's kind of hard for a Brim or an Omen to cover every angle, right? Brim can maybe cover every angle, but he has to drop all the smokes at once, and then you have to kind of just take them back. You have to be able to execute on those 3 smokes, because after that, he doesn't have anything left. Omen only has 2. So if Omen were to try to cover every angle on Breathe, he can cover some, but some would have to be left exposed, and then he would have to wait for another smoke to come in order for him to be able to smoke again, right? So I have to put her on A tier just because of how strong she is on some maps, but she can be S tier because she is weak on some maps where she's like incredibly weak. That's why I put Astra on S tier, because I think Astra is just a good jack of all trades controller. She might struggle on some maps like Breeze, but she's gonna get it done either way, right? It's gonna be a little bit janky, but it can be done. Next is Brimstone. I think Brimstone is also very S tier. I mean, not S tier, A tier, because Brim has a lot of things that can delay. So he can have his smokes. Yeah, his smokes are pretty good because they're not hollow. So if you walk into a Brim smoke, it's very hard to kind of make plays off of it because you can't see through it. So I think he's very good for that. His smokes come down super fast, and they're not noticeable. So Astra, for example, you'll notice when she puts stars down, so you'll know where people are going if you set it up. Viper, you can see her wall, and it takes a while for her wall to come up. but Brim can just instant launch him. So if you're trying to attack a site and take it by surprise, you can just automatically erupt on site with the smoke. It'll come down really fast, and then that's that. He also has a stim beacon, which can help his team. He is one of the few controllers that can help his team besides smokes, right? What I mean by that is that his smokes are good, but he has something that can just help the whole team at once. If you're all pushing one side and you stim down, everyone's just shooting at twice the speed and everyone's moving twice as fast. So it's really good. He's got 2 of them, but of course they nerfed him. He would have been S tier, I think, if he would have had his two stimmies back. But the stim is really good, and also he has a molly which can delay or it can stop someone from defusing, which is super good. People like Viper and Brimmy, who can stop a defuse, is amazing when you get to the higher ranks because people are gonna play safer. If you get if you're in gold or whatever, then yeah, people can have lineups, and it'll work because people don't know how to counter it, right? But at the higher ranks, sometimes gunfights aren't taken unless they're absolutely needed. So it might be a little bit better for a Brim to be able to stall. You can go back, do some lineups. Viper can do the same. So I think that Viper and Brim are pretty equal, at least when it comes to what they're able to do. Next is Omen. I would have to put Omen on the B tier. I think Omen is probably one of the funnest controllers to play in the game, but his lack or his inability to smoke more than 2 angles, I think really hurts him in the long run. He's super versatile and he's super fun to play, and he has a lot of potential. He has a really good blind. He has a lot of teleport, gameplay he can do. But once you get to the higher ranks, it becomes a little bit, the teleports don't do much. Most people can see it coming. They're very, telegraphed if you don't do it correctly. That being said, I don't think he's bad. I just think that there's other controllers in the game that do his job a little bit better. I think that he is one of the few controllers though that can kind of be a wild card, because a lot of omens can pop off depending on how they play, right? For example, on defense, a lot of omens can get on top of a off angle, on top of a box or something that other controllers can do. And I think that's pretty cool. He can also have a lot of off-play potential, right? If you use your teleports and your blinds correctly. But like I said, speaking controller-wise, his ability to control map, I think that there are definitely better controllers, and I think he is the weakest out of the bunch. All right, now moving on to Sentinels, we have, of course, Chamber, and Chamber has to be S tier. Chamber is just too broken of a character to really argue. He can have a trip no matter where he is on the map. It's kind of like if you guys have played back when Killjoy first came out. Killjoy had complete control of the map because she could put her turret, alarm bot, and mollies and be across the map and they'd still work. So that is a problem that Killjoy had, and she got nerfed for it. Chamber, however, never got nerfed for it. So Chamber can have his trip on one spot, can be completely across the map, and it'll still work. And I feel like that is a lot of control that he has. Not only that, but if it goes off, you're slowed for 10 seconds. It feels like forever. And all his kills with his abilities will also slow you down, which means that if you're pushing a site and he can somehow kill you with one of his abilities, all of you are going to be slowed, and it's going to be really hard to take anything like that. Not only that, he has a pocket guardian. No matter in what round he plays, right? If you buy enough bullets, he can have a pocket guardian that can one-shot anybody no matter what, which is huge. That is such a good ability for him. And the bullets aren't that expensive. He did get a nerf recently, but it's not that big of a deal. Chamber still plays like Chamber. His teleport is probably the reason why he's on S tier. He can, I think I saw a statistic a while back where he Chamber in tournaments, high level tournaments and high ranked gameplay, Chamber has the most first bloods, which I think is crazy because he's a sentinel, right? But you have a bunch of Chambers that play aggressive, they'll peek first, and if they don't get the kill, they'll just TP out and they're fine. Sometimes you do get the kill on the Chamber, but more often than not, he's gonna TP, whether he gets the kill or not, and you can't really do anything about it. It becomes untradeable. So I think that's why Chamber's on top. Not only that, but he has a free op. People are worried that there's gonna be too many agents in the game at some point where they can ult and not have to buy a gun, so they can have a gun on eco. Chamber is one of those people where if he has his ultimate available and he's on eco, he can have a free op. An op that's better than the actual op in the game. It's pretty much a scout or a marshal that has the properties of an op. So that's a big problem because he technically never has to save if he uses his ult correctly. But Chamber's super strong. He's probably Chamber's pretty much a duelist with a trademark accessory. But yeah, he's definitely S tier. Cypher, I would have to put. I'm gonna put Cypher B tier because I feel like Cypher is definitely not bad. I feel like against certain teams, Cypher is definitely a good character to pick. It just really depends on what you're playing. I think Cypher is good on Icebox, for example. You know, when you have multiple angles you want to worry about, right? You have the tube where people can walk up through mid. You have B main where people don't typically go, but you can have someone lurk through there. So it really just depends. And even though it's not like Chamber where he'll like slow people down, most people won't actually run into the wire because they're aware of it. But you will get info. Like if they do shoot out the wire, you're gonna know they're there, whether they hit it or not. They just won't get exposed, right? So he does provide a lot of info. Not only that, but his camera also works from across the map, kind of like Chamber's trademark. So you can kind of use it to get info, even though you're not there. And then if you're, say for example, you're attacking and you are trying to lurk into B and you see Cypher's camera go off and it spots you, you don't know if Cypher's there or not. So it's a 50-50. You cannot be on B, but the guy might back out thinking that you're somewhere on site and that you're lurking. So Cypher does have a big presence. You can really hold down the site. The only bad thing about Cypher is that I feel like it's very hard for him to attack. It's good that he can watch flank with multiple tripwires, but he doesn't really bring much to the table besides watching flank. Like he doesn't have any abilities that can help him kind of take a site, you know. He's kind of useless to that extent. I think the best thing he can do is maybe throw out a camera and then, you know, maybe spot someone or have it be shot out when taking the site. So he does struggle a lot on attack, but he can watch flank. So that's pretty cool. He can watch 2 angles at once with his trips, right? So I think him being unable to really do anything on attack kind of makes him a little bit worse than Chamber. And when I mean a little bit, I mean a good amount. Now Killjoy, I think Killjoy would have to be A, because what Killjoy brings to the table is a lot more beneficial on both sides of attack or defense. So Killjoy can hold down the site perfectly well. She has a bunch of mollies, she has a bunch of setups you can do. She has the turret, which will give you info when people are peeking. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good thing to have. I think Killjoy is one of the better sentinels for holding down the site. If you are a defensive monster, I think Killjoy is a really good agent to pick. But what I like about Killjoy a lot is that her ability to attack is a lot more versatile, and she has more options whenever she wants to be able to help her team attacking. So for example, she can set up a turret to kind of look for someone, you know, before you enter a choke point. She puts on a turret to shoot at someone or people have to shoot it. She can play for molly. So after you guys plant, she puts down both her mollies and her alarm bot, and it's really hard for people to, you know, defuse the bomb unless they shoot out all her equipment. And also her ult is pretty huge. Cypher's ult, for example, is not that good. You know, it'll tell you where people are. It's all right, but it won't really give you too much benefit. Killjoy literally makes everyone get off site. If she gets a roll, you can take a site for free. And if you smoke correctly, then it's just super easy. And people have to risk either they want to stay in the ult and die, or they have to run and they have to play retake. Like that's a super good ability. And her ult is pretty big. I don't think people notice how big her ult can be. It can take almost every site completely. It might leave a few angles. And I've even seen Killjoy players that will throw down their ult, and then they have lineups for their mollies to throw a molly where people might hide. So for example, they'll ult on B on the set, and there's like a little crack in the back of sight that's not covered by the ult, where people are gonna run, and so does molly it from like a B main or some shit like that. It's crazy. Like there's a lot of crazy lineups. So there's a lot of crazy shit you can do, and I think she's way better than Cypher. But yeah, I think the main thing about her is that she can attack and she can defend. And she can do a lot of cool shit like that. She's more versatile than Cypher in the long run. Sage, I think I would have to put Sage on... I think I'd have to put her on B also. I think Sage is really good for certain maps. For example, Icebox is okay. She can, you know, put down the wall and plant on B, so I think that's pretty cool. Other than that, I feel like in the higher ranks, Sage kind of struggles because she doesn't bring a lot of like that instant stalling power that you have to like have at the higher ranks to kind of stop an executed push. Like she can slow you down with her orbs, that's fine, but her wall is almost useless in higher ranks because people will immediately shoot it. You can get some cheeky stuff with it, but like a lot of her cheeky wall stuff people don't fall for in higher ranks. A lot of the stuff you can see in silver where a Sage will wall up and then hide in the corner on top of her wall, people don't fall for that. I think her res is probably her best feature, and the res is a really good ult. I think it's awesome. It can really change up the way a round plays, but it does take a while to get. And not only that, sometimes, most of the time, like 60-70% of the time, whenever you are trying to ult somebody, it's going to be in battle where people are going to be looking for it. So it's almost never going to be, you know, free. Sometimes people will take side, they'll kill somebody on your team, and they won't rotate off because they know that you're going to ult. Like, they're not going to rotate, right? Or if they do rotate, they'll keep someone there because they know you're going to go for the ult, and they'll just kill both of you. So it really just depends at the higher ranks. It's not really that important. I think that Sage does struggle because, like I said, she doesn't have any of that burst ability that any of the other Sentinels have. Now, Killjoy has her mollies or whatever. If she sets up correctly, she can literally get people offsite with her mollies, or she can get a kill or whatever. Or people will take massive damage if they decide to run through them. Chamber has just a bunch of guns that he can just shit on you with, and a lot of firepower. And Cypher is kind of the same, but Cypher can really hunker down with all of the equipment. I've seen Cyphers hold down the side by themselves, and they'll take 3 with them before they die because they have a bunch of wires, cages. You know, they have a lot of util for him to work with. Sage is pretty much has her slows, and if people get to her, that's about it. You know, her wall's not really gonna save her. It might stall for a little bit, but people will just shoot through it anyway. So I think Sage really does struggle in a lot of the Sentinel aspects. When it comes to attack, I think she's a little bit better on attack than Cypher, but she can slow people. She can, you know, wall up, help with plant. But I think that she still kind of struggles a little bit. But she is the only healer that can... Well, she's not the only healer, but she is one of the only healers in the game, so that does count for something. But I think I would have to put Sage above Cypher here. So I'm gonna order these this way also, so it's gonna be like from best to worst. But that is it for our Sentinel. Let's move on to our initiators. So we do have some double initiators here, sorry for that, but we're just gonna work with what we got. So first we got Breach. I think Breach is B tier because Breach is only good on some maps. You can use Breach on everything, and you know, he's not bad on every map, but he requires a lot of team play, and I think that it's just not going to be found in a lot of these ranked teams. In top tiers, he is good on certain maps and he can be used correctly, but you have to be really organized to be able to use Breach. So I feel like it doesn't really count how much potential he has if most people don't get to use it. Other than that, I think that Breach would definitely be A tier if he was a little bit easier to work with, I guess. If more people knew how to play Breach, I think that he would definitely be A tier. But right now, we just haven't seen the potential that he has because a lot of people don't play him. People play him on Fracture with Neon, so I think that people are kind of noticing how good he can be. And I kind of see him on Haven once in a while, but there's just not enough Breach players out there to kind of pioneer what's possible with him. So I think that he would be definitely a B character. Not only that, but a lot of his stuff is really easily telegraphed. So I think his stun is pretty good, but his flashes are kind of weak due to the fact that you can kind of 180 them pretty fast. They do have a really slow charge up. So the second you see the Breach hitting the wall with the flash, you can kind of 180 it if you have a pretty good reaction time. So it's not really too big of a deal. But his ult, I think, is what makes him really good. He is one of the best initiator ults in the game because he can literally stop plant. He can stun everyone on site, and it's like a massive range. So I think that his ult can definitely make him A tier if people learn how to use him better. Okay, I'm gonna put this one in the back. We already talked about Breach. Next is Fade. Fade, I would put S tier right now. I think Fade is one of the best initiators in the game, just due to the fact of how much you can get from her util. Her util is amazing. Her dogs take up a lot of damage before they go down, and they tell you so much on where people are. So it's kind of like a raised boom bot, where if you throw a Fade dog, it'll lock onto you if you're close to it, but it takes forever to shoot. And by the time you're finished shooting it, most people will peek you and you'll die. And she has 2 of them, and they're not that expensive. So the fact that she gets 2 of those and she can pretty much clear any angle from, you know, a good distance away, I think makes her super strong. Not only that, but she pretty much has a dart of her own, like a recon dart with her eye. Her eye can clear a massive amount of space depending on where you throw it. And not only that, she has lineups for it. So you can have pretty good lineups for your eye and get some cheeky angles cleared with that. So I think that's pretty good. She has a lot of stall with her orb. Her orb has a huge radius, which I think is pretty cool. A lot of people don't know how, you know, strong or big that radius is. If you've ever been hit by a Fade orb and you're like stuck to it and you're taking damage and decay and people just run at you, there is nothing you can do. It's just nothing you can do. Unless you hit that first shot, you're gonna die. And she does have a lot of synergy with other people, like Wraith, for example. You've seen people in VCT throw the orb and the nade at the same time and get like an ace or something like that, some wild shit like that. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a really good character. I think she's a little bit too strong. I think they would have to nerf her dogs a little bit. And her ult is okay. Her ult does deafen you and it makes you a little bit weak, but it's not that big of a deal. I think whenever I play against the Fade, sometimes they'll ult on me and I'll just run out and peek anyway. And people don't expect it. A lot of the times you'll catch people just running in thinking that they're going to run from the Fade ult. I don't think it's that good. Now, people thought that it was going to be OP because it was going to trace where you were going. But it's not that big of a deal. It's actually kind of hard to like follow the trace a little bit because it's not like a straight line. It's like jagged almost. So I feel like people are just going to be holding the angle anyway. So it's kind of not good to follow the trail of where they are anyway. But a cool thing is that it does tell you how many people are there. So for example, if you ult, it'll like go ding, 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 and it'll tell you that there's 4 people in the area that you ulted. So I think that's pretty cool. You can ult, and if you hear 4 pings, you can, you know, rotate on attack or whatever. So, but I do think she's the best initiator in the game right now, and I think she might get nerfed, but I don't know. You know how Riot is. Sometimes they'll nerf her, sometimes they won't. Next we have KO. I'm gonna put KO at A, but hear me out. I think KO is gonna be the best initiator in like 2 years, because KO is the only person that can stop. And you know what? You heard it here first. I'm gonna put KO on top. The only reason I think KO is weaker than Fade, for example, is because it's hard for him to get info on where people are. So let's start with his ability to stop people from using their abilities. Valorant is all ability based, and the hardest thing about Valorant is not aim, it's not positioning, it's how you use your util. That's what makes good players from bad players. You have people in servers that are correct at aim, but they cannot use their utility, and you have people in Immortal that cannot aim, but they have really good utility usage. That is the difference between a good Valorant player and a bad Valorant player. The second you take that off the table, even a shitter silver, can take on an Immortal if their aim is good enough, because there's no abilities. There's nothing to stop you, there's nothing to stall you, there's nothing to give you the advantage, and it's just raw aim. And he is the only character in the game that can do that. And the more characters they select, the more characters they put into the game, the stronger he's going to become. So KO is going to be one of those characters, because in every game that you have that's like Valorant, like Overwatch for example, developers have to bring in new characters that are better than the old characters. So for example, if you compare Omen, which is one of the OG controllers, to Astro can do so much better, right? Astro can do so much more than Omen. But why is that? Because she's new. If they were to bring another character that's just like Omen, then it would be boring. Nobody would want to play him because we already had somebody like that, right? Which is Omen. So every time they release a new agent, they're going to be just a little bit better than the old ones, a little bit better. And eventually there's going to be some crazy ass agents in a few years. Trust me, like they're going to need to like really make agents over the top for them to be interesting to the player base, which means that they're going to power creep. They're going to get better and better and better. And the old agents are kind of gonna fall off and struggle, right? But KO is going to be one of the only agents that can stop all that. No abilities, he can knife, he can stop everyone on site. They can't put up their walls, they can't molly, they can't flame, they can't do anything. And if he ults, nobody can do anything. Like they literally have to wait for your ult to go away unless they just want to take raw gunfights. And it's not really likely that they're going to do that anyway, because you're going to have your abilities and they're not, so they're just going to wait. Not only that, KO can stop lineups with his ult, which I think is crazy cool when people don't use that often enough. I've seen people like a KO when he's trying to defuse a bomb and he knows that a Vrim or a Viper is going for a lineup, and he'll just ult and stick it. And what are they going to do? They have to run all the way from their lineup spot to the bomb to stop him from defusing it. I've also seen people that go down. You know how he goes down whenever he's ulting? He'll be on the ground and you can revive him. I've seen KOs go and die in front of somebody that's defusing. That way they can sponge all the bullets for the person defusing, and it's fucking insane. That blew my mind. That was one of the things that I saw that I thought to myself, man, KO's gonna be fucking nuts. And I think more people have to play him. Not only that, he has one of the strongest mollies in the game. That molly will shit on you if you stand on it. And he has flashbangs that I think are super effective because people don't know how to like react to them. So there's some mollies in the, there's some flashbangs in the game that you're kind of trained to turn around to, but there are some KOs that will like throw their molly on the ground and it'll like roll, and I'm just not trained to like 180 that. You get me? Like I'm not used to something running on the floor or like rolling, so I won't 180 them and I'll be like, yo, what the fuck is that on the floor? And I'll be like ooh, like what is that? And then I get flashed and I die. Like I'm not used to flashing them. They're really fast, and if you know how to properly flash as KO, then it just makes it so much better. So he does have a lot of util. He also has lineups with molly, which is pretty sick. But he has a lot of potential, and I think he's gonna get better and better as the years go on. So last we have Skye. I think Skye is definitely A tier. Skye is one of the best initiators in the game for a couple of reasons. One, she can heal everybody, which is fucking nuts. If you don't buy heal on Pisteron, you're throwing, by the way. She can heal the entire team at once. No one else can do that. That's fucking insane. That alone makes her a good initiator because she is very much a support character. Two, her flashes are fucking nuts. I think her flashes can make her almost duelist-like with how good they are. They're really fast. People, they're really hard to react to if you do it right around the corner. And not only that, they give you info that other flashes don't give you, which I think is super important. If KO flashes, you don't know if somebody's flashed or not. You just have to guess. You have to hope that you flash him and run up and kill him. But she will give you information with that Skye flash, right? It will, the bird will scream and you'll know somebody there. That's super good for those like tight, suspenseful situations where like it's after plan, you don't know where the last person is, they're lurking, and you throw a bird and you flash him and the bird goes, ah! And he's there like, dude, that's fucking sick. What, you can clear anything. Like she becomes more clutch the longer she's alive. And she also has a dog that goes fucking Mach speed, clearing any angle and can stun you. And also does damage. Like I think it does like 30 damage or some shit. Like it's fucking nuts, dude. She has a lot of util. She's really good at entering sight. She's really good for gathering info. And if you're against the Skye and it's post plan and you're trying to defuse, it's fucking over. Like just save your gun, bro. Like you're not gonna win. All she has to do is pop flash you while you're defusing and you're fucking dead. Unless you get her with a lucky ass headshot while you're blind, it's over. So Skye is definitely one of the best initiators in the game. And she also has an ult that tells you where people are. It's not the best ult. I think there's other ults that are better. KO's better. But she does tell you where people are. 3 people for free. If you're in a 2v1 and you're trying to look for the last guy, that ult will definitely secure you the round. If you're in a 1v1 and you're looking for the last guy, that will secure you the round. I don't like when people use it at the beginning of a round to find out where the enemy team is going, like attacking. I don't like that. Sometimes you'll have people on defense that will just throw the ult out and then you'll find out everyone's on C, so everyone rotates to C and then the attackers go away and you're just like, okay, well, I didn't get anything out of that. So her ult's okay, it's not that big of a deal. Nobody ever really gets hit by it. It's very unlikely that you get hit by the ult. So it's just kind of like, oh, here they are. It's kind of like a Cypher ult, I guess. But yeah, but I think she's really good though. The rest of her kit is amazing. So last but definitely not least, we have our duelists. Our duelists are, it's probably going to be the biggest, I think, controversial kind of setup here. So first we have Jett. Jett is still S tier. Jett is one of the only people that can opt. She has a get out of jail free card, and it's not that hard to use. I know they nerfed her and you have to like set it up, but if you have 2 brain cells, you can do it. It's not that hard. She has smokes, so she can. I think what makes a duelist different from other duelists, like what makes them better and bad, is the outplay potential they have, because you can do a lot with Jett, right? With Jett, you can kill somebody, you dash away, you get a kill for free. You can't be traded because you dash away, right? More often than not, you'll get away. So what happens? They continue rushing you, you smoke. Now, it's a 50-50 at that point, right? Do they go into the smoke and hope that you're not in it with a shorty, or a gun? Or do they respect it and walk back? And then you got that kill for free and they can't do anything about it, So her outplay potential is insane. She can even kind of fill for smokes with her smokes, right? Like say if Omen dies early in the round and you guys are quickly taking A, right? Even though her smoke won't last long, it'll give you enough time to get into sight. She can smoke off heaven, you walk inside, you plant, that's it. She can smoke herself off and defuse the bomb, right? If she's defending, she can smoke herself off and plant the bomb if she's attacking. Like, I don't know, it's just a lot of shit. Not only that, but she can updraft, which is not the best. But you can get a lot of off angles that people don't expect. You can play on top of boxes, on top of crates and stuff like that. Also, what makes Jett really good is her ult. Her ult is pretty much a run and gun machine. If you have decent tracking, you can shit on people with her ult. And people say, oh my god, you got shit on by Jett knives, they're saving, how are you dying? Bro, Jett knives are fucking nasty. If you can aim, Jett knives are fucking nasty, and you can get away with some dumbass shit. She was better, when she got her knives back after her right click, but even her right click now, like if you get 1 kill with her ult, you did your job. Like that's all you need to do. So I think Jett's definitely the best entry in the game right now. She doesn't really have a lot of competition, I don't think, as the top duelist. She can just do too much. I think that's the problem. Jett can do a lot for her character. She's a very I would say jack of all trades, but she does everything pretty well. Like she's not like average at everything. She's really good at almost everything. So I think that makes her definitely S tier. Neon, I would put Neon at. I'll put Neon at B tier. I want to put him at C tier. Neon, I want to put her. You know what? I'm gonna take the risk. I think Neon is C tier. Now, I'm not saying she's bad. I think Neon is pretty good, especially on certain maps. But she just, I find it really hard for Neon to be able to do what she has to do alone. I feel like she needs another duelist in there to kind of go in. Because yeah, she can wall in and like stun sight, which is really good. But I feel like she just doesn't do enough by herself. I feel like Jet, for example, can do a lot of stuff for herself. She can take sight, she can blind for people, you know. But I think Neon struggles. And I think if Neon had 2 slides instead of 1, like right away, I think she'd be a lot better. Because you kind of have to gamble with that slide. I think her slide is one of her biggest assets. And she only has 1 of them. So if you miss it and you don't get 2 kills, you're kind of fucked, right? If you slide and there's no one there, like, it sucks. You know what? No, I'll put her beat you. Let her beat you. Unless some of y'all were raging. No, I'll put her beat you. She's good. She's good. I think her stuns are nasty. Her stuns are fucking nasty, and there's lineups for them too. And her ult's okay. Her ult's not that big of a deal. It needs to be better, but I guess it can get you a gun if you're saving. But I just feel like there's not enough Neon players out there. I think her outplay potential is nuts, which I know is contradicting what I said earlier. I think she has a lot of outplay potential. It's just not discovered yet. So there's no proof that it's out there. There are some pretty good Neon players out there, but her potential has not been reached. So I don't think I can put her on top yet until I see proof of how good she can be. There are more players picking her up. She's becoming a little bit more popular, but I think she still needs to be worked on meta-wise, and people will eventually find out how to use her a lot better. Moving on to Phoenix. Phoenix is a solid. You know what? I'm gonna put Phoenix B tier. I'll put a B tier. Phoenix is a lot better. I think Phoenix would have been a C tier before his buff recently. Phoenix isn't bad. He's just very limited. He has no movement, which I think is one of the biggest things that hurt a duelist. Duelists that don't have a lot of good movement, it's hard because that's literally your job, to move around and kill people. And having that ability to move is a huge asset when it comes to trying to get kills and trying to enter sight, you know? Phoenix goes in there, he can blind, he can wall, but like if he gets a kill, he can't relocate anymore, you know? He can't reposition, he's just kind of stuck to the area he's in. He's a really on the ground character. Compared to like Jet, for example, who can dash, Neon can run really fast, Wraith can boombot, Reyna can ghost away, Yoru can teleport, but he doesn't really have anything like that. And I feel like that's what hurts him. I think if he had some kind of movement ability, or maybe he can like ride on his wall, or he can use his wall on the ground and slide on it, I think that would be fucking sick. You heard it here first. Phoenix should be able to put his wall on the ground, flat on the ground, and fucking slide on it, or walk or run a lot faster. I think that'd be fucking sick. I think that'd be a really good idea. But yeah, his ult is pretty good for taking sight, but if no one watches your back, you're dead. But it's not a bad ult. It's really good. You get 1 free life. I think the fact that you can die in your ult and keep all your armor is super cool. That's a cool buff that they gave him. But I think that he's kind of just mid tier. His molly's pretty good. His flashes are okay, but he just doesn't bring enough. And I think he's also one of those duelists that can't really play by themselves. They kind of need something else to help them. I think they have a Phoenix and a Jet together. It's kind of sick, but a Phoenix by himself might struggle. Raze. I'm gonna put Raze A tier because Raze has a lot of utility that can help with almost everything. She can stop plants, she can kill people. She has a lot of kill power, which I think is also one of the main reasons for her being a good duelist. But also she has a lot of movement. If you know how to use her satchel correctly, you can get to some crazy spots really fast. And I think that's what makes her way better than Phoenix. She can kill people without trying. She can set stuff up. She can set stuff up with other agents like Fade or Astra, you know, throw her bomb. They'll get sucked or they'll get orbed by Astra. So she has a lot of other potential with other characters, a lot of synergy, right? You can do the same with Phoenix, I guess, with his Molly, but it's not going to be that good. You know, you have a fucking nade that'll shit on you if you stand anywhere close to it. So she has that. Her satchels give her incredible movement, so she can get to crazy ass spots. She can get away really fast. She can't really op. Like, I don't think her satchels are good for opping, you know, trying to get a kill and get out. But everything else, I think she's a really good rifle duelist, right? She's really good at entering sight. And she can clear a lot of stuff. Her boombot is fucking nasty when it comes to clearing shit, which is really good for entering and attacking. Her boombot is also really good for defense, right? If you're trying to clear angles, you can throw a boombot. If no one's there, you can rotate or you can flank. Like, it's nasty. She has a lot of good setups, and I think she's just overall. Her ult is literally a free kill if you use it correctly. So it's pretty cool. I think she's a really good overall duelist. She's not better than Jet because I think Jet, her movement is just much easier to use. You don't really have to learn it. There's no like skill seeding, I guess, to learning it. But I think Raze is really good. I think the only reason I put her on A tier is because she is not that good on certain maps. Like on bigger maps, she kind of struggles. Breeze, she's kind of bad. But you can make her work on most maps, which I think is why she deserves A. Most maps, I think she'll be fine. Reyna. I am gonna put Reyna on B. No, I think I love Reyna. I was a Reyna main for a long time. I think Reyna is so much fun. But Reyna is again one of those duelists that I don't think can do it by themselves most of the time. She can get away for free, but she kind of has to raw dog the first kill. Like, she has a blind, but the blind kind of sucks, and most people shoot it out instantly. So what I mean by raw dog is like she doesn't have any tricks to get that first kill. You have to out aim somebody. But on paper, Reyna is the best character in the game, duelist wise. Right? On paper. That is, if you hit every shot and if you're fucking nuts, she will automatically shit on people and she'll get to go get away for free. She can heal. But, you know, you're never really going to get somebody that's going to hit all their shots, right? So I think that's why she struggles. You have to raw dog that first kill. It's not like Jet where you can take the shot and dip away if you need to. You know, Raze can get kills with her bombs without even peeking. You know, Phoenix has a better flash than Reyna. Neon can stun people and get free kills. I mean, like, if she slides at them and they're stunned. But Reyna has a shitty blind that most people will shoot at anyway, and she has to win the 1v1. So I think that's where Reyna struggles. Her ghost is not the best. It is faster than running away, but if you're in a bad situation, the ghost won't help you anyway. You know, if you ghost away, people can just follow you, and if you're not fast enough or you don't get to cover fast enough, then you're kind of fucked. Also, if you're in a corner, you know, you can't really do anything. Her blind's not going to save you, right? If people catch you in a corner and you have no one to help you, no teammates, and you're by yourself, you're pretty much fucked. You're in it. Like, you have Phoenix can pop flash you and hope to get a flash and a kill. Reyna's blind is not going to save you. People just shoot it out and they just immediately go back to holding the angle, and that's that. Neon can stun. She has a wall. Jet can just dash away. Fucking Raze can also satchel away technically, or she can send a boom bot, give you something else to shoot at. That takes a little bit more health to shoot down. But yeah, Reyna's really hard to like kind of do things herself. So I think she does need somebody else. So Reyna and Jet, for example, are really good because they can play off each other. But Reyna by herself, she's just not. She's probably the second worst duelist in the game. But I think, you know what? I'm gonna put Yoru on A. I think that's gonna be my hot take for the video. I think Yoru is a great fucking character because he forces a lot of 50-50s that other duelists can't do. So for example, you know, if you're playing a bomb site and you throw your TP, right? And the attackers are coming in and you press your TP and you fake it, right? The attackers don't know if you faked it or not. So that causes a 50-50 automatically. They have to respect your teleport because you could have teleported, but you also maybe did not teleport, right? And I feel like that's what makes him a wild card type of duelist because it's kind of up to what they decide to react to. And that's how good he can be, right? So I know it's kind of hard to explain, but what I'm saying is that all his things are 50-50, right? He can set up teleports, footsteps that go into teleporters. He can open doors with his footsteps. He can set off alarm bots with his footsteps. And you have no choice as an attacker or defender but to give respect to that. If you don't give respect to his footsteps and his teleport, then you are at risk of completely losing every round because he can come up behind you. If he teleports behind you, you have to guess and you have to respect it. You have to pretend like he always teleports because he could be there, right? Like, you just don't know. His flashes are not the best, but his flashes are a lot better than they used to be. They did get a little bit faster. And I've seen a lot of Euros that are really good at timing them. Odds, when I get a Euro in my game, odds are that they're going to top wreck a lot of the times. because a lot of these Yorus are really hard to react to. And it's not really that he's like the best character in the game or anything like that, but like people don't have enough practice against Yoru to kind of learn how he works. So he's like he's really much a gamble character, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like that's what I see him as. He's a very, very, very gamble character, because it's just a 50-50 whether he's gonna get the kill or not, right? But I will put him above Reyna, because I think his outplay is a lot more out there. He has a lot more versatility. He can kind of do a lot of more creative stuff. And he's pretty good at mind gaming, man. Like a lot of these maps, like Bind, for example, with a teleporter, if you send your footsteps in the teleporter every round, like what can you do as an attacker, right? You have to just, you either hope he's not there and push sight and risk getting flanked, or you watch it, or you use util to like watch the teleporter, you know? Same thing can be said for whenever Yorus take footsteps. You've seen a lot of Yorus pretend to be a fucking hologram and fucking run into sight, and then they go in and kill everyone. Like, he's just such a cheesy character that you have to respect, that I think it makes him a lot better than Reyna, at least in the long term. And I feel like the more people play him, the more he's gonna improve. Like people are gonna pioneer him even more and think of all this like cool potential stuff that he's gonna have. But yeah, that's about my agent list. Let me know if you guys agree in the comments. I know there's gonna be some people that are gonna disagree. That's fine. I really welcome people to talk. I want people to kind of discuss what's going on. But also, you notice I didn't put anyone in C&G. I think that every character in the game is viable, which I think is super cool. It's really hard to do with any game, right? But I think Riot has done a really good job at making every single character in the game viable. Even if it's still certain maps, that's fine. But you can literally play anyone and get away with it. And I think that's super cool. If you play League, for example, there's some characters that you cannot play. If you play Siege, there's some character that you're throwing if you play, right? So I think it's really hard for them to do, and I'm really proud that they were able to do that. Every character is viable, every character is fun. I don't think there's any character in the game that is boring to play. Even controllers, who I think are the most boring characters to play, most of them have their things about them, right? Good or bad, but they have their play styles, and you can kind of do some stuff with them that's kind of fun. So I think they're doing a really good job. Anyway, we'll be making more tier lists. I might make a tier list on skins, I don't know. But if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like. It really helps out the channel. Leave a comment if you have anything to say about my tier list. And I will see you all in the next one. Later, dudes.